My wife cheated while I was recovering from surgery, so I waited until she needed me, then left her cold and alone on her birthday. I'm a 34-year-old guy. Last year, I went through one of the most vulnerable times of my life. It started with a workplace injury, slipped disc, torn ligaments, the whole brutal package. I'd been working warehouse shifts for years, pushing my body past limits I didn't even know I had. But this time, my back gave out for good. The doctor told me I'd need surgery, followed by months of recovery. I wasn't scared of the pain, honestly. I was more scared of being dependent. But Rachel, my wife of 7 years, she held my hand at that first appointment and said, "Don't worry, I'll take care of everything." And at first she meant it. She brought me smoothies with protein powder I never asked for. The best orthopedic pillows, rearranged our bedroom, and even helped me set up short-term disability paperwork. I remember lying there in that stupid recliner thinking, damn, I really married a ride dash or dash die. The surgery went well. Clean incision, minimal complications. But the moment I got home, things started to shift. She was still helpful, but colder. Distracted. She started stepping out more, usually saying things like, "Just grabbing groceries," or "I need a walk to clear my head." I chalked it up to stress, I mean. It's not easy suddenly becoming a caretaker. I told myself she's doing her best. She needs breaks too. But it was the phone that got me. She never used to be that glued to it. Now she'd turn the screen away when I glanced over. Her laughs were quieter, shorter, like she didn't want me to hear. One night I asked, "Everything okay?" She blinked, too fast. "Yeah, just tired." And maybe that should have been the moment I knew, but I closed my eyes and nodded, pretending I didn't feel the floor start to shift beneath us. The first week home was a blur of painkillers, heating pads, and that awful plastic walker the hospital sent me home with. I couldn't even make it to the bathroom without wincing. Rachel helped at first. She'd lift the tray to my lap, refill my meds, fluff the pillows, but it felt mechanical, like she was clocking in and out of a job she never applied for. She started disappearing for hours. "Target run," she'd say. "Keys already in hand." Or, "I need to clear my head." At first, I didn't question it. I felt guilty enough needing help just to roll out of bed. So I let her go. I always let her go. Friends came by. Mark, my buddy from high school, brought donuts and sat with me for an hour. He looked around and asked, "Where's Rachel?" I shrugged. "Out, probably grocery shopping." He raised an eyebrow but didn't push. The weirdest part was how silent the house became. Rachel and I used to fill it with dumb conversations, arguing about which pizza toppings were superior or which movie to rewatch for the 10th time. But now, it was like she'd muted herself. No teasing, no laughter. Down. Just footsteps fading down the hallway. I tried to engage. "Want to watch something tonight?" She barely looked up from her phone. "I'm tired. Maybe later." Later never came. It felt like I was recovering in a vacuum, no color, no sound, just the steady buzz of her absence. Even the walls felt colder, like they'd absorbed the silence and were now echoing it back at me. One night I reached over to hold her hand, just needing connection. She let me, but her fingers stayed limp in mine. Cold, distant. And in that moment, lying half-drugged in the dark, I realized something terrifying. I wasn't just healing from surgery. I was learning how to live with someone who was already halfway gone. It happened on a Wednesday. Rachel came home late, said she lost track of time while grabbing dinner with coworkers. I nodded, didn't ask questions. I'd learned not to. She placed takeout containers on the kitchen counter and went straight to shower. But in her rush, she left her phone behind. No passcode. I stared at it like it was ticking. Something inside me whispered, "Don't." But something louder, something raw and humiliated said, "Look." The moment I flipped it over, I felt sick. The lock screen was a text bubble. "Last night was amazing. Still thinking about your back." Sent by someone named Ava Work. My stomach dropped. Ava. I'd never heard of an Ava. My hand shook as I opened the thread. Dozens of messages. Some flirty, some graphic, some sent while she was supposedly running errands for me. There were selfies. Rachel in the car. Rachel in a hotel mirror. And then the one that made my chest seize. "Don't worry, babe. He's too drugged to notice anything anyway. She was talking about me. While I was lying in bed recovering, she was lying to my face and laughing behind my back. I felt like I was underwater. Every beat of my heart was muffled by the static rushing through my head. I took screenshots. All of them. Emailed them to myself, labeled the folder insurance. When I heard the water shut off, I quickly placed her phone exactly how she left it face down on the counter. She came out wrapped in a towel, smiling faintly. "Oh, dinner's getting cold." I nodded. "Thanks." Then I watched her walk away, her bare feet leaving faint prints across the tile. I sat there for a long time, staring at the phone like it might explode again. That night I didn't sleep, just laid there, wondering how long I'd been the joke. The next morning, Rachel made me scrambled eggs. She hadn't cooked for me in weeks. She set the plate down with a soft smile and asked, "Need anything else, babe?" I stared at her, and for a second, I forgot how to speak. Could she look me in the eye like that? How could someone lie so easily and still kiss my forehead? I played my part. I chewed. I thanked her. I let her help me get to the bathroom. Every time her hands touched me, I flinched inside, like her fingers were dipped in acid. But I kept my expression flat, numb. She kept pretending, tucking in blankets, filling prescriptions. She even said, "You're doing so great," like this was some kind of performance. I realized she was using my recovery as camouflage. She knew I couldn't chase after her, couldn't argue or leave. I was trapped, and she was wearing the mask of a loving wife while sneaking out the back door. That night I called my best friend Mark. I didn't tell him everything's just enough. He said, "Man, you need a plan. Don't just sit in it. Don't give her the satisfaction." "I'm not ready," I said. "Not yet." "Then start preparing," he told me. Quietly, so I did. I started small, recording details, saving receipts, forwarding emails. I backed up everything I could find. It was like building a case against someone I used to dream about growing old with. Rachel, meanwhile, acted like nothing had changed. She kissed my cheek before heading out. "Be back soon," she'd say. But I didn't ask where she was going anymore. The betrayal didn't come in one big explosion. It came in teaspoons stirred into my soup, wrapped in fresh linens, hidden behind fake concern. And I swallowed it all, because I had to. But deep down, I was already done pretending. There's a strange kind of power in knowing the truth while pretending you don't. I became good at it, too good. Every "I love you" she tossed over her shoulder felt like a test. Every kiss on the forehead. Every question about my pain level lit, all became noise, empty, robotic. But while she thought I was sinking, I was quietly swimming back to shore. I started physical therapy earlier than scheduled. Told her the doctor said I needed to push myself. In reality, I just needed to be able to walk on my own again to get out if it came to that. I stopped taking the heavier painkillers, even though it meant gritting my teeth through every movement. I needed a clear head. Then, I opened a new bank account under my name only. Just a few hundred transferred here and there, enough to fly under her radar. I also started talking to an old coworker about remote gigs I could do from home. Rachel didn't notice, or maybe she didn't care. She was too busy planning her next girl's weekend, or leaving the room whenever her phone buzzed. One night, as she laughed at something on her screen, I asked, "What's so funny?" She glanced up. "Just a meme. I'll show you later." She never did it. It hit me then. She wasn't hiding it out of guilt. She was hiding it because she assumed I was too weak to fight back, too broken to matter. But every moment she underestimated me, I grew stronger. I started keeping a journal, not of feelings, but facts, dates, times, phone calls, evidence. I still slept beside her, still thanked her for dinner, still let her help me walk to the bathroom. But beneath the surface, I was sharpening the knife. And she didn't even notice her hand was on the handle. Rachel always made a big deal about her birthday. She wasn't shy about it either. Every year came with countdowns, Pinterest boards, group texts to her friends. She'd say things like, 32 isn't old if you still turn heads, or I deserve to be spoiled, right? This year was no different, except I wasn't the one planning anything. Not really. Weeks before the day, she started dropping hints. "I hope you're planning something nice," she'd giggle, usually while scrolling her phone. I was there for you during your surgery, after all. That line, I was there for you, it started to feel like a weapon, like she thought. I owed her something for staying just long enough to sneak around behind my back. I smiled and nodded. Don't worry, I said. I've got it all handled. What she didn't know was that while she was curating outfits and suggesting restaurants, I was tracking a man named Jason, the guy she'd been texting under the alias Ava Work. Turns out Jason had a wife and kids in a LinkedIn profile that listed the same company Rachel worked for. So I made a new email. Burner. Untraceable. Subject line. You deserve to know. Attachments, screenshots, dates, her hotel selfies. Messages about my surgery. I didn't T-write a single word. Just sent it. That night, Rachel came home giddy. She showed me a dress she ordered online and asked if we could get reservations at that fancy rooftop place downtown. You'll love the view, she said, spinning in the mirror. I watched her from the bed, nodding slowly. Yeah, I said. The view's going to be perfect. She didn't see the storm behind my smile. Didn't feel the foundation shifting beneath her heels. Because while she planned a night to celebrate herself, I was planning the night she'd remember for the rest of her life. A few days after I sent that email, I noticed Rachel acting. Lighter, almost cheerful. Her phone barely left her hand, but she didn't bother hiding it as much anymore. She hummed in the kitchen, wore lipstick just to check the mail, and started bringing home groceries I never asked for. It wasn't guilt. It was freedom. I thought maybe she was celebrating the fact that she hadn't been caught. But then I opened her laptop. She'd left it charging on the dining table. Curiosity got the better of me. I wasn't expecting much. Just maybe another thread of messages. What I found was worse. Tucked neatly into her personal folder was a subfolder labeled New Start. Inside were apartment listings, lease agreements, job applications, a Google Doc titled Letter to Evan. That's me. I opened it. The letter started like a breakup text and ended like a press release. You've changed. You're distant. I don't feel seen anymore. This isn't about blame, it's about growth. She was planning to leave. Not now, after her birthday. After the celebration, after the rooftop dinner I was planning, she wanted the gifts, the attention, the cake, and then she was going to vanish, spin the story however she wanted. She even listed moving out date, June 18th, 3 days after her birthday. I stared at the screen in silence. She had built her exit plan while I was relearning how to walk. I didn't feel anger. Not yet. I felt clarity. Cold, calm / unshakable clarity. That was the moment everything shifted. This wasn't about infidelity anymore. This was about being used. Played out, I closed the laptop quietly, careful to leave no trace. Then I opened my notebook and changed a single line. End date, June 14th. She wanted a grand finale. I was going to give her one. The closer her birthday came, the harder it got to breathe. Rachel floated through the house like a woman on vacation. She started calling me babe again, asked if I wanted wine with dinner, even offered to massage my legs one night to help with blood flow. It was like she thought a few acts of faux affection would buy her a guilt-free exit. Every touch felt like poison. But I let her touch me. We still slept in the same bed. Her back to me, phone glowing under the covers. Some nights I stared at the ceiling for hours, just listening to her type, probably to Jason. I'd memorize the rhythm of her fingers tapping the screen, like some sick lullaby. One night, I broke. She had fallen asleep early, phone still clutched in her hand. I went to the guest room, sat on the edge of the bed, and cried. Not loud, not dramatic. Just a slow, quiet unraveling of everything I'd held in. I cried for the years I gave her, the loyalty, the stupid blind trust. I cried for the version of me that used to believe marriage meant something. I whispered to the empty room, why wasn't I enough? No one answered. I thought about ending it, everything. Packing a bag, disappearing, letting her have the house, the lie, the story she'd already written in that letter. I stared at the wall until the first light of morning broke through the blinds. But then, something inside me hardened. A final click in the lock. I wiped my face and said out loud, "Not like this." That was the lowest I'd ever been. But it was also the moment I stood back up, at least on the inside. If she wanted a story to tell after she left, I'd make sure it wasn't the one she rehearsed. By the time her birthday week rolled around, I was done mourning. I'd spent enough nights bleeding out in silence. Now, every move had purpose. Every smile was strategy. Rachel was buzzing with excitement group texts with her friends. A new dress delivered in a gold box, a salon appointment marked on the calendar. She kept saying things like, "This is going to be the best birthday ever," and every time she did, I nodded like a husband who couldn't wait to celebrate his wife. "I've got something special planned," I told her one morning. Her eyes lit up. "Really? You've been so quiet lately, I thought you forgot." I smiled. I'd never forget. She had no idea that while she was shopping for heels, I was scheduling a moving truck. I spent hours organizing the house and secret important documents, clothes, laptop, all packed neatly into boxes and stored at Mark's place. He didn't ask questions. Just said, "You sure about this?" "Yeah," I said. "She's sure about leaving. I'm just giving her a head start." I also wrote her a letter. Not emotional. Not angry. Just factual. It read, "You cheated while I was healing. You lied while I trusted. You planned to leave after you got what you wanted. So I'm letting you have your wish early. Consider this your clean slat alone." I folded it, placed it on the kitchen counter, and tucked my wedding ring beside it. Her birthday dinner was booked 7 p.m. at the rooftop restaurant. She wouldn't stop talking about. I made sure she'd show up on time. I even texted her that morning, "Can't wait to celebrate tonight. Dressed to kill." And while she spent the day getting ready for the spotlight, I packed the last of my things, loaded the boxes into the truck, and drove away. By the time she'd arrived for her big night, I'd already be gone. Her big night came with perfect weather-warm breeze, clear sky, just enough city glow to make everything feel cinematic. I could picture it, Rachel in her new dress, hair curled, checking her reflection in her phone camera before walking into the restaurant. She always loved entrances. She arrived at 6:58 p.m., just as planned. I know because I watched from across the street, parked in a borrowed sedan with my phone off. She walked in, smiling wide, scanning the room, waiting for me. Minutes passed. Then half an hour. She ordered a drink, probably telling herself I was running late. By the time her second glass was empty, the smile had cracked. She started checking her phone every few seconds, calling, texting, nothing. At 8:15, she left. When she walked through the door of our house, everything was gone. The furniture we bought together, the photos on the walls, the bedspread she picked out, it all looked hollow. There was just my letter, her birthday cake still in the fridge, and silence heavy enough to crush air. I imagine her opening that letter. I imagine the sound of her breath catching, the realization sinking in that she was finally alone, not abandoned, just left to face the truth she built herself. While she read, my scheduled email went out. Every family member, every close friend, even Jason's wife, all of them received the same message. I won't be around for Rachel's birthday tonight. She's celebrating with someone else. No commentary, no name-calling, just facts. Screenshots attached. By the time I crossed the city limits, my phone was buzzing nonstop. Mark texted, "It's done." I replied, "It's done." Then I powered it off and rolled the window down. The night air hit my face, clean, final. For the first time in months, I felt free. And somewhere behind me, Rachel's perfect world was burning quietly to the ground. It didn't take long for the fallout to spread. By morning, Rachel's phone must have been a war zone. Her friends texted me screenshots of the group chat. Frantic messages, excuses. It's not what it looks like. But it was exactly what it looked like. Jason's wife had gone nuclear, posting screenshots to social media with captions like, "When your husband's coworker helps him work late." The post went viral in their local circles. Within hours, Rachel's name was dirt at her office. Her boss called HR. They had policies about workplace relationships. Jason was suspended pending investigation. Rachel was placed on leave. Her dream job, the one she bragged about nonstop, was suddenly a liability. She tried calling me. Over and over, different numbers, even an email titled, "Please, just let me explain." I didn't open it. Mark asked, "You sure you don't want to at least hear her out?" I said, "I've heard enough lies for a lifetime." People started distancing themselves from her. Friends unfollowed her. Family members who once called her the perfect wife reached out to me in shock. "We had no idea," they said. Of course they didn't. She built her image carefully sweet, loyal, dependable. The irony stung. That was how I used to see her too. A week later, saw her name pop up in a local Facebook group someone had posted about her breakdown at the grocery store. She was crying in the frozen food aisle, muttering to herself. The comments were merciless. Sympathy mixed with scorn. I didn't gloat. I didn't smile. I just sat there staring at my screen, realizing that revenge doesn't always look like fire and fury. Sometimes it's quiet, slow, surgical. She'd spent months dismantling my peace, one secret at a time. Now, she was living in the wreckage she created, and I didn't have to lift a finger. It's been 7 months since I left. Sometimes I still wake up expecting to hear her humming in the kitchen. Muscle memory, I guess. But the house I'm in, now small, quiet. Mine doesn't echo with lies. I didn't rebuild my life in some grand movie montage kind of way. There were no triumphant soundtracks, no magical rebounds. Just mornings spent stretching my back against cold floorboards. Coffee made with my own hands. Silence that didn't feel like punishment anymore. Rachel never apologized. Not really. Oh, she sent messages. A few I wasn't myself texts. One long email that read more like a resume of reasons why she deserved another chance. I deleted all of it. She once said, "You don't throw away a marriage because of one mistake." But she didn't make one mistake. She made hundreds of tiny ones and wore them like perfume, hoping I'd never smell the rot underneath. Sometimes people ask me if I regret not confronting her face to face. No. What would I have gained? She already twisted the truth for everyone else. Why give her one more chance to twist it for me? I didn't need a dramatic confrontation. I needed peace. I'm working again now. Remote logistics. Nothing glamorous. I see a therapist once a week. I've even started dating someone new. Slowly, carefully. She knows I've been hurt. I told her on our second date, "If you're looking for a fixer-upper, I'm probably not your guy." She smiled and said, "I'm not. I'm looking for someone honest." Sometimes I still look over my shoulder expecting the past to catch up, but it doesn't, because I didn't run from it. I faced it, quietly, deliberately, on my terms. Rachel built a fantasy and tried to drag me into it, but I walked away and built a life instead. And the best part? I never needed an audience to heal, just the silence she once filled with lies.